Hey guys, we are moving on to algebraic expressions, topic 16, which is really factorization, which you've never done before. So this is a really important section. This is the first lesson. Okay, so what exactly is factorization? Okay, so in order to understand factorization, you need to understand what it isn't. Okay, so you, up until this point, have been taught that when you simplify something, you distribute, right? So if I gave you this expression over here, you would say 3x squared times 2x squared, 3x squared times negative 5x, etc. And then this would be your final answer, and there's no like term, so that's your answer, and you would get full marks. Okay, this is not factorization. This would be the opposite of factorization. So factorization is the opposite of distribution. In distribution, we multiply into brackets and we get rid of the brackets, whereas in factorization, we do the opposite, right? So in distribution, we move from this part here to there. In factorization, we move backwards. Okay, so in factorization, we put things into brackets, and our answer has brackets. And we sometimes say that we take out a common factor. Okay, so if I show you, usually this would be the thing that I give you, 3x, open bracket, x plus 2, and then you would distribute to give me this answer here. In factorization, I would give you the answer almost, so I would give you this part here and tell you to factorize it by putting it back into brackets, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay, so the first type of factorization we're going to be dealing with is something called HCF, which you know is highest common factor. So we're going to start really slow and go from there. Okay, so this is on the worksheet that I gave you in class. So highest common factor would be basically a number that goes, the biggest number that can go into another number without any remainders. Highest common factor. Okay, so what is the highest common factor of 8 and 16? The highest common factor is 8. Okay, so you basically in factorization ask yourself, what do the two terms have in common? Well, both terms have a common factor of 8, which we can take out as a highest common factor. Okay, so in factorization, what you're really doing is dividing through by that highest common factor. So if I divide both of these by 8, those 8s will cancel and I'll just be left with x. And here, 16 over 8 will give me 2y. Okay. But I don't just say x plus 2y, I have to show what the highest common factor was. So my answer looks like this. I'll say equals, I'll put the highest common factor on the outside, and then put what was left once I divided through by the highest common factor. That's really important. So if you only gave me this bracket here, it would be wrong. Okay, you have to show me that that's the highest common factor. And usually you'd say, oh, but that's the answer, don't I distribute? No, because if you distribute, you're just going to go back to the first step. Okay, so we're doing the opposite of distribution. Let's try this one here. So I'm going to say, what's the highest common factor that goes into 54, 108, and 54? It's 54, so I would divide through by 54. So in my answer, I'm going to say equals 54, open bracket. And then I'm left with t to the power of 3 minus 2q plus 1. Okay, don't forget that 54 over 54 is equal to 1. Okay, for now, don't worry about the variables. We get to that in the next lesson. Okay, so for now, we're just looking at the numbers. Let's try another one. Okay, so factors, highest common factor that goes into 12, 36, and 96. That will be 12. So I'm going to be left with m plus 3n minus 8. So again, I'm going to say equals whatever my highest common factor was, open bracket, what I'm left with once I've divided through by 12. And then the last one in this video, highest common factor that goes into 9, 3, and 3 would be 3. So I divide through by that, and I'm left with 9 divided by 3 is 3a, minus the 3's cancel, b plus 3 over 3 will be equal to 1. And that's how I got what's left in my bracket. Okay, so for factorization, you leave it in brackets. It's really important that you leave it in brackets. Don't go and distribute, because then you just go back to the question. Okay, so for homework, I want you to try this activity. So write the date and the heading, and then you can do these 4. Cool, guys.